Oh, you're off. I called. Yes. Yes, very early. That's it. I wanted to add it. Oh, you're right. You wait. Just curious. We might have to. Okay.
Western Reserve News. Sure.
Hey, you know what? Yeah, no. Thank you.
I'd like to call the caucus to order. First piece of legislation is from Finance Committee for emergency passage and ordinance establishing appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures for the village of Lordstown, state of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2015, and declaring an emergency. Any comments on this?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to see this piece of legislation passed tonight.
Any other comments? Hearing none, next is from Finance Committee for emergency passage and ordinance amending in part and restating ordinance number 6, 2013, involving Title IX, Chapter 181, income tax, by enacting a revised Section 181.14, allocation of funds to the codified ordinances of the Village of Lordstown and declaring an emergency. Comments?
Yes, Mayor, this piece of legislation I would also like to see passed tonight.
Any other comments? What this does is it changes our percentages of where our monies go. And every year we review the budget to make sure that each line item and each department has the correct funds. So that's something we do at the beginning of every year. Next, from Finance Committee for emergency passage and ordinance authorizing the cash transfer of interest earned in the endowment funds into the cemetery fund and declaring an emergency. Comments?
Same comment. I'd like to see this piece passed tonight also.
Okay, are there any other comments? Hearing none, is there any questions on the minutes in front of you for approval this evening? Hearing none, are there any questions on the bills this evening? Okay, hearing none, is there anything council would like to discuss during the caucus before we adjourn and go to the regular meeting? Okay, caucus is adjourned. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Lordstown Village Council meeting. So please stand and join me for the Lord's Prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, glory, and glory forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Bill, if I could have a roll call, please.
Mayor Hill.
Present.
Mr. Vaughn. Here. Mr. Mansell.
Present.
Mr. Radcliffe.
Present.
Mrs. Jones.
Present.
Mr. Shealy.
Present.
Mr. Reeder.
Present.
Clerk Blank present. Treasurer George Epling.
Here.
Nat Van Such.
Present.
Police Chief Brett Milholm.
Present.
Fire Chief Travis Deeshan. Planning and Zoning Economic Development Kelly Bordner.
Present.
Parks, Buildings and Grounds Street Commissioner Dale Grimm.
Present.
Recreation Marty Gibson.
Here.
Board of Public Affairs.
Present.
Municipal Engineer Chris Kajelik.
I'll entertain a motion to excuse Chris Kajelnik. He notified us that he would be unable to come this evening, and also Travis Easton, Fire Chief. Moved by Mansell, second by Jones. Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I'll entertain a motion for adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second by Radka, second Bond. Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Entertain a motion for disposal of the minutes of the regular meeting held December 15th, 2014.
So moved.
Moved by Reader, second by Shealy. Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Entertain a motion for payment of the bills.
So moved.
Moved by Shealy, second.
Second.
Second by Radka. Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Mayor's report. Since this is our reorganizational meeting, as mayor, I'm required to give a state of the village address to let everybody know the general condition of how our village is doing, and 2014 was a very good year for the village of Lordstown. We met our expectations and a little bit better as far as the budget. The clerk and I put it in front of the council last year, and we are looking that in about the next 2 years, we should have enough money sitting in the debt service fund that we will have the money sitting to pay off the east side sewer. 3 20-year notes, so after that we can collect the interest and be able to use that money for the general operations of the village, but in case the economy would take a downturn, we will be in very good shape. We've got quite a few roads paved this year. Palmyra Road, north and south, Walker, Halleck Young West. We've got a top coat on Brunstetter and Yerke Young, and also the west end of Halleck Young Road. We were able to get quite a bit of funding for the next round of grants for the Bailey Road project. From federal SDP funding, we got approximately $1,998,625. From OPWC, Ohio Public Works Commission, SKIP grant, we're getting approximately $224,000. And we're also getting approximately $225,000 from the Turnpike Mitigation Fund. That's where the Turnpike sets money aside for any community which the Turnpike goes through, whether we have to have things corrected. We do have a couple drainage issues, and because of that, we were able to apply for the grant. We got $225,000, and I believe that project is going to come up in the calendar year 2016, which starts this coming July, so it'll be between this coming July and the following July. A couple other things which have gone on in the village. This year we updated our drug and alcohol policy. The village acquired the Kunkel Reserve Base at the north end of the Space Center, and we do have that put back into use right now. It was in mothballs for about 7 years, and we're still looking at having an oil gas training center eventually, and also that may be used for Metallico somewhat when they do bring clients in for the business as they start going through the first of the year. We will be having a new industrial park coming into the village. The former Racer Trust property, which is on South Todd on the west side between the railroad tracks, south side of tracks, and Halleck Young, and North Point Development out of Kansas City will be developing that. We did finalize some tax sharing agreements, which we should have had in place, but for some reason they had got overlooked previously, with Metallico, Anderson DeVos, and Intier. Once again, we are co-sponsoring the Apple Cider Festival. We had a water line get relocated on Route 45 when they had done some work and put a third line in, railroad line going into the Space Center. When they installed that, we had a shutoff valve right in the middle of the tracks. We couldn't have that in case there was an emergency, so we did finally got that line relocated. That was a long, drawn-out process. We did get a new village sign out front and got a new one up at the corner telling everybody where Central Park is. Big asset. We got a new fire tanker. Everybody could have seen it out back. They were here till almost 6 o'clock. We got that through state bid at the cost of $524,500.
In 2014, we did hire a new planning and zoning economic development director due to Mr. Harrison retiring. We finally got Imperial Communities tied into the East Side Sewer. We've got new in-car cameras for the police department. We did update our code red weather warning alert system. We're starting to look at updating some of our outdated sirens, and hopefully the safety committee will be getting to work on that. We are looking at upgrading all the lighting in the village buildings for energy savings, and there is money in the capital improvements budget for that. We supported SCOPE with the school, so the SCOPE has a home at the back of the school. A couple of years ago, we were required to have a 20% match from the community in order to be able to get funding to keep our SCOPE going, so the village has contributed 10% of the budget, and the school board has given 10% in kind toward the rent for where SCOPE is, so we have that going for us. We did get one new cruiser this year and one new undercover car. It's been reported in the village newsletter about our village video. That has been completed. We are waiting to find out when it will be broadcast. That will give us about a week's head start, and we should be getting a copy of that for our village website. We also had Orwell Gas run 6 mile of gas line in the northwest corner of the village. I thought they were going to run a little bit more than that, but they did have a change in management. But I've been told that next year we should get the rest of the area in the northwest have gas lines, because that is oil and propane are kind of breaking some of our residents. So once we get the gas lines in place, that should be able to put more money in our residents' pockets. And last but not least, if everybody saw over the weekend, we had an announcement about the Lordstown Energy Center. They are looking at siting it on Hen Parkway. This is an $800 million project. This will be helping the schools out immensely. It will be about 1.6 to 1.8 million man hours to get constructed. It's a 30-month project. Approximately 500 to 550 full-time construction jobs while it's being built. And we'll have 23 to 28 good-paying full-time jobs once it's done. There will be a community open house next Tuesday, the 13th, up in the community room from 5 to 7:30. It will be very informal. They will have, from what I've been told, they're going to have posters and easels and have people there from the Ohio Power Siting Board and people from the Mr. Siderwitz from the Energy Center, and they will be there to answer residents' questions. This is for the community's input, and I invite all to come. That is a big asset for the village of Lordstown, and that is also for the capital improvements. I've had a copy put in everybody's box. Clerk Blank and I did reallocate funding for Bailey Road, and everybody should have had a list of what our new capital improvements are going to be. We're trying to get caught up on some of our paving. When GM was down a couple years ago, paving kind of got put on the back burner, but now we're coming along trying to get everything caught up, and a couple of years we should be back where we used to be. That's it for the mayor's report. And any questions?
Can you repeat the times for the open house again? Some of the people didn't hear.
The open house is 5 to 7:30 on January 13th, Tuesday. They'll be up in the community room. Okay, is there a clerk's report this evening?
No report, Mayor.
Is there a solicitor's report?
No report, Mayor.
Is there a treasurer's report?
No report.
Board of Trustees of Public Affairs report?
Yeah, we're going to meet on the 15th at 4 o'clock, be the third Thursday.
Okay.
It'll be the third Thursday of every month, most generally.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Any questions for Tom? Thank you. Village engineer is not here this evening. Special reports, Police Chief Milhone.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, because of the generosity of our residents, many of our local businesses and students at the Lordstown High School, we were able to again participate or hold our annual Shop with a Cop program this year, in addition to our annual food drive. On December 11th, we were able to assist 15 children from the village of Lordstown in our Shop with a Cop program, and 20 families for our food drive.
Okay, thank you, Brent. Any questions for Brent? Okay, Travis is not here this evening. Planning and Zoning Administrator and Director of Economic Development, Kelly Bordner.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, are there any questions for Kelly? Okay, Parks, Grounds, Building, Street Superintendent, Mr. Grimm.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Any questions for Dale? Recreation, Marty. Any questions for Marty? Bill, do we have any correspondence this evening?
No correspondence.
Okay, public remarks. After I acknowledge you, please come to the microphone and give your name and address so we can get it recorded in the minutes correctly. Public remarks. Okay, hearing none, are there any council remarks?
Yes, Mayor. I just wanted to go on record that I am personally thanking you for the hard work you put into this energy center coming to Lordstown. I had dialogue with Mr. Sadirowitz, and he told me many times, if it wasn't for your work and the due diligence that you put into this, we might not have got it, because you set up the meetings with the peoples that had the properties that he could not get the easements for this to go through, and I know you spent a lot of time on it, just from talking to you and Mr. Sadirowitz. And along with that, I would like to thank Mr. Sadirowitz for keeping Lordstown in the picture for this, because this is nothing but a plus for this community, and it is in the right place this time, and I'm glad that you spent that much time on it.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that. Are there any other council remarks?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I totally agree with Mr. Mansell. I've told you this many times. If it wasn't for you, you're like a bulldog. You had him by a leg and you wouldn't let go. And I appreciate that. I'm sure the community appreciates it, and I know the school appreciates it, and I know the Valley is going to be very pleased with it also. And I want to congratulate you and thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you very much. We get a big head sitting up here now. Are there any other council remarks? Okay, hearing none, committee reports. Finance, Mr. Mansell.
Yes, Mayor, as I said in caucus, there's 3 pieces of legislation on the agenda tonight, and I'd like to see all 3 passed tonight as emergency.
Thank you. Any questions for John? Parks, Buildings, Grounds, General Improvements, Streets and Sidewalks, Mr. Reader.
No, we're not.
Any questions for Don? Public Safety and Welfare, Mr. Radka.
No report tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Any questions for Ron? Public Utilities, Mr. Bond.
No report this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Any questions for Bob? Transportation, Recreation, and Senior Services, Mrs. Jones.
No report.
Any questions for Karen? Hearing none. Bill, if we get out the first piece of legislation.
From Finance Committee for emergency passage, an ordinance establishing appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the Village of Lordstown, State of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2015, and declaring an emergency.
Comments or motions on this piece of legislation?
Motion to suspend.
Motion to suspend the rules by Jones, second.
Second.
Mansell. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to suspend the rules. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Moved by Shealy, second Radka. Comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to adopt ordinance 1, 2015. Next, please.
From Finance Committee for emergency passage, an ordinance amending in part and restating ordinance number 6, 2013, involving Title IX, Chapter 181, income tax, by enacting revised Section 181.14, allocation of funds to the codified ordinance of the Village of Lordstown, and declaring an emergency.
Comments or motions on this piece of legislation?
Motion to suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend the rules by Mansell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Shealy. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
Mr. Mr. Reader.
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to suspend the rules. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved, Mr.
Moved by Reader, second?
Second.
Second by Vaughn. Comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Radka.
Yes.
Mr. Shealy.
Yes.
Mrs. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Mansell.
Yes.
Mr. Reader.
Yes.
Mr. Bond.
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to adopt ordinance 2, 2015. Next, please.
From Finance Committee for emergency passage, an ordinance authorizing the cash transfer of interest earned in the endowment funds into the cemetery fund and declaring an emergency.
Comments or motions on this piece of legislation?
Motion to suspend.
Motion by Jones to suspend the rules. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Shealy. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mansell.
Yes.
Mr. Bond.
Yes.
Mr. Reader.
Yes.
Mrs. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Radka.
Yes.
Mr. Shealy.
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to suspend the rules. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Moved by Radka, second.
Second.
Second, Shealy. Comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Shealy.
Yes.
Mr. Radka.
Yes.
Mrs. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Reader.
Yes.
Mr. Mansell.
Yes.
Mr. Bond.
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to adopt ordinance 3, 2015. Is there any old business council would like to discuss at this time? Hearing none, new business. This is our organizational meeting. First thing under new business will be motions for Council President Pro Tem. I'll entertain nominations.
I nominate John Mansell.
Motion by Jones to nominate John Mansell. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second by Reader.
I move nominations be closed.
Motion nominations be closed by Jones. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Shealy. All in favor for John Mansell, Council President Pro Tem 2015, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Welcome back, John.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll wait till the next meeting, Don. I'm not going to chase you out yet.
Okay.
Okay, I would like to have the following committees appointed. I'll go with the council committees first. Finance, Radka Chair, Mansell and Reader. Roads, Jones Chair with Mansell and Shealy. Utilities, Bond Chair, Shealy, Radka. Safety, Reader Chair, Jones and Bond. And Transit, Shealy Chair, Jones and Bond. I'll entertain those committees for 2015.
So moved.
Moved by Mansell, second.
Second.
Second by Bond. Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I'll entertain a motion to have on planning Howard Shealy, school liaison Bob Bond, Board of Zoning Appeals Karen Jones, the Business Review Committee Hill and Mansell, the Abatement Review Committee Hill and Radka, Firefighters Indemnity Board Radka and Bond, the Forest Review Committee Mansell, Jones, and Rudy Solomon, and also have the Finance Committee be the Negotiations Committee in case we need any negotiating. I'll entertain a motion to have those committees approved.
So moved.
Moved by Reader, second.
Second.
Second by Shealy. Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Is there any other new business council would like to discuss at this time?
Yeah, Arno. Is the new business when we do an appointment?
Yes. Oh, okay. Yes.
I make a motion we appoint Dale Grimm as street superintendent for 2015.
Okay, yes. Dale, I had you sweating there.
He did send an email too saying, "Happy New Year, I'm looking forward to working with you." And I responded back, "You haven't been appointed yet."
Yeah. By Ohio Revised Code, we have to appoint the street commissioner on a yearly appointment, the first meeting of the year. So, motion by Jones and second by Bond to reappoint Dale Grimm as street commissioner for the year 2015.
You want a roll call on that?
No, I think we should be okay. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mansell. Is there any other new business at this time? Hearing none, are there any additional public comments? Yes, Tom. Come on up to the microphone.
Tom Dietz, 2821 Howick Young Road. I guess I'll be representing the festival committee. Are you going to have somebody represent the council on the committee?
On which committee is that?
Festival, Apple Cider Festival?
Festival. You know, we can,
I just thought
we
I'd
can
ask.
discuss that. I don't know if we've ever actually had
Yeah,
somebody.
you have.
I know Mike Sullivan.
Mike Sullivan.
Mike Sullivan, okay. Well, this past year, we didn't have anybody. Do we have any volunteers on council to be on the Apple Cider Festival Committee? Come on, don't everybody. Please get hanging out to dry like this.
I'll do it, Arnold.
Okay. Motion to have Karen Jones on the Apple Cider Festival Committee. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Vaughn. Comments? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks for stepping up to the plate there, Karen.
You're welcome.
Okay, are there any other additional public remarks this evening? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved by Mansell, second Shealy. Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Meeting adjourned. Thanks for coming out this evening.